Hi and welcome to Awake Ones. I'm Sally Poinsett-Nash.
I'm Lorraine Flaherty.
And I'm Alexandra Wenman.
And today we are going to be talking about dreams and dreaming and
daydreaming,
astral travelling, and yeah, all things connected with dreams. So, Al.
Lovely, come to me first.
I can't see you past Lorraine.
Yeah, dreaming. Dreaming is obviously a very hot topic for me. When I was a very young child, my whole family nicknamed me the daydreamer. And there are even photos of me kind of, as a baby, kind of gazing off. Never fully here, air sign, Libran. I am a dreamer, and my favourite song is actually that I'm a dreamer by Live and Joy because of it. I spend most of my time dreaming, daydreaming, visioning, journeying, meditating, drifting off. But I also have very, very vivid dreams. I dream so vividly, and it's crazy. And I actually have dreams that are really real. I still can't see you. Hi, Laurie.
Sorry, I'm looking at you in that.
Yeah, dreams that are really real, and dreams where I know that I am actually doing spiritual work or spiritual rescue work or healing work in my dreams. And I didn't actually know that I was doing it until one of the dreams I had, which was very real, appeared on the news the next day. And I can't remember if I've spoken about this on the show before, but I had this really vivid dream a few years ago where I was a big man. I was speaking a different language. It felt like it was in the Mediterranean somewhere. And I was this big man, and I was helping get people off a boat that had crashed, that had shipwrecked. And there was another big man, I was waist deep in the ocean, and it was really scary. And I sort of in the dream came to and realised, oh, this is not me. I'm not me, but I'm this person, and I was one and the same person. And then I realised that the other man next to me was actually the soul energy of my mother, and that we were in the dream state, sort of stepping into the consciousness or merging with consciousness with these people and helping get the people off the boat. And the next day on the news, it was the Costa Concordia ship had run aground. It was actually in Chatter's Fate magazine. I submitted an article for it because it was just so bonkers. I was like, oh my God, this is actually happening. I've had a few where I've also been famous people, which I won't give details of. And then I read an amazing book by an author called Joan Grant called The Winged Pharaoh, and she actually talks about a past life memory that she had where she had been a female pharaoh and been trained as an initiate as a winged pharaoh, as a winged healer. So in the dream state, they were trained to go and step in and help other people. And I read that book and I was like, oh my God, I'm doing this. I recently got told during a healing session with one of Laurie and my friends, Elena Keneally, that I'm something called a dream master, that part of my soul energy, I'm a Melchizedek, but I'm also a dream master, and I've yet to kind of unlock what that means, but I think that it has something to do with this ability that I have to travel in dreams. I've also been told by quite a few people that I appear in their dreams. Krisha, who we know from Inspiral, in Cambridge, she said that I appeared to her in a dream, and I have had people say that I've shown up and I've helped them in their dream state with a situation that they're going through. So it's not a conscious thing as yet, although I do, before I go to sleep, set an intention that if I travel anywhere, if I do anything, that it be for the highest good, and I often do self-healing and healing for others before I sleep. So I don't know, but it's, to me, the whole of this life is a bit of a dream. I'm always kind of, even when I'm, I did it in another video that we filmed recently where, we talk about a topic and I'm off daydreaming. One about nature. I'm off like visualizing, walking through nature, and then I just go blank. So I don't know. I could talk about dreaming all day, but I'm interested to see what you two have to say about dreams and dreaming.
I don't have much to say about dreaming because, as you know, as you will now find out, I didn't dream for 25 years. So there was a situation when I was younger. I was being haunted in my dreams by the soul of a relative who was alive still. So it was kind of, she tormented me by day in the physical form, in the night time in another form. And I shut my dreams down, and I didn't dream for 25 years, and I just passed out and woke up in the morning. That was it. Very occasionally, when I was going through trauma, I'd have a really vivid nightmare. I was obviously dreaming, but not recalling it. And then I did a session with Al, gosh, maybe 6, 7, 8 months ago, maybe, I'm not sure. And part of it unlocked that, because I said to Al, I don't dream, and she said, oh, there's something there. And then we did a session, and I was like, what do you want to work on? It's like, well, might as well start to get me dreaming again. But I've been dreaming pretty much most nights ever since. And by saying I'm dreaming, I'm like recalling those dreams in the morning. Sometimes they go, like with most people, they just slip away from you. Others really vivid.
Are you happy that you're dreaming again?
Yeah, I like it.
It's fun, isn't it?
Yeah. Depends what the subject matter is. Sometimes it's a bit warped, or other times a bit disturbing. But I'd rather have that than just passing out. It just makes going to sleep interesting.
I think your dreams let you know on a subconscious level often what's going on with you too. The symbolism of your dreams can be very meaningful. I always, it's so funny, I always tell people, you keep a dream journal, and do I ever do it? No. If I have really amazing ones, I'll often write them down. But I will always interpret my dreams the following morning.
And I think that's the thing with dreams, is that even though sometimes they can be very same, I have lots of dreams where I know I wake up in the morning exhausted, and I know that through the night I've actually continued whatever work it was I've started.
Well, you effectively put people into a dream state every day,
and
don't
I
you?
do spend, I mean, the realm between the awakened state and the hypnosis state is very, very akin to the dream state anyway, so it's a realm that I'm very, very familiar with. And in fact, and I may have mentioned him before, Stephen Walensky, who has a book called The Trances That People Live, and he talks about the fact that there are these various different states, and that most people are more in a dream state than they are actually awake anyway, most of the time, because you're kind of zoned out. You're not really like highway hypnosis when people are driving. They're conscious mind is sort of drifted off somewhere and they're working on autopilot. But there are other times when you have the more metaphorical dreams, where it's not actually very literal, and it's not actually almost talking about astral travel. So there are some dreams I have where it's so vivid and I feel like I'm absolutely there. It's almost like real life. And there are other dreams where it is just a very crazy metaphorical version. And I realised through kind of, I suppose, different research that I'd done, that when those dreams come up, that you can interpret them symbolically, but that actually a lot of the time, every element of the dream represents an aspect of you.
Yeah, so every other person as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's all some aspect or some part of you. And I think we've all had those dreams where you're being chased by monsters, or chased by what appears to be kind of dark. And so often, especially when I learned how to do more, what's the word I'm looking for?
Lucid dreaming.
Thank you, lucid dreaming. That actually, when you can control the dream, you can stop and meet with or confront those aspects of self, the ones that are scary. And that's often very, very telling, because as soon as you do that, you realise that those parts aren't scary at all. They've just kind of puffed themselves up to be scary in order to get your attention. So lucid dreaming is a very, very interesting way of learning more, and you can train the mind to do that. So you can give suggestions. I think what a lot of people aren't aware of is that the suggestions that they give themselves when they are about to go to sleep, or if they wake up in the middle of the night, are taken on board by the mind almost as though they are a hypnotic command. So for those people that struggle with sleep and have insomnia, that wake up in the night and look at the clock and say, oh no, now it's 3 o'clock and I have to be awake at 7. That means I'm only going to have 4 hours sleep, and then I'm going to wake up and I'm going to be really tired, and then I'm not going to be able to function through the day. all the mind hears is I'm going to be very tired and not function, and then you wake up feeling exhausted.
Yeah. Or you go, I can't sleep. Why can't I sleep? And then you're embedding it, don't you?
Yeah. Instead of just thinking, oh, which would be the healthier way of doing it, thinking, brilliant, now that I'm awake in the night, I can do some meditation and I can take myself off to somewhere really, really wonderful and set intention to go somewhere that's really pleasant, so that you can begin to control the dreams and make them into something more pleasant.
I'm fascinated by recurring dreams. I often have recurring dreams. I'm very much a flyer. I fly a lot in my dreams. I fly a lot. I fly a lot
in real life.
In real life. But I'm always flying in my dreams, and sometimes it's really pleasant. Sometimes it's really fun.
Yeah.
Like I had this amazing dream that I was an angel, and I had these wings, and I was flying, and there was even a song playing, and I was spreading all this love. And then other times it's like I'm trying to get away from someone. And those dreams are often, I guess, when I need to sort of have some time for myself and take myself off and have some owl time, because, you know, you can feel, especially as a therapist, that you can feel a bit overwhelmed at times. And I have these dreams where it's so fun, because the flying bit, it's almost like you're swimming in the air, but then the recurring bit is that there's someone coming after you. And then when the person's coming after you, it's like you're swimming, you're in water, and you can't get away fast enough. And then they just miss you. It's like they just keep just missing you. It's like, I'm not sure if I'm astral traveling or what's going on there. But also, like, I used to have this other recurring dream, which was so unpleasant. And I had it for many years. It stopped now. And I remember when it stopped, it was this recurring dream that I was really desperate to go to the loo. Maybe in real life I was in my sleep. I used to wet the bed as a child, so it's probably one of my fears. Probably too much information. But I had this recurring dream that I would be desperate to go to the toilet, and then I'd get to the bathroom. It was always a public toilet. And so desperate to go, but there was no way you could go to the toilet in these bathrooms, and they were always different, but they were always disgusting, or there were no doors, there was no privacy. It was always, and it was sort of like a metaphor for, I guess, the healthy boundaries for a start, but also some sort of proverbial crap that I wasn't dealing with in real life, right? There's something that I needed to release or let go of that I wasn't able to release or let go of. And then when I started my healing journey and I became a healer and I started training in therapy, I remember the dream that I had when I finally cleared that recurring dream. And I walked into this like palatial bathroom that was like all marble and the most idyllic like clawed bathtub and everything. And I woke up the next morning going, oh, thank God I released all that crap. That bathroom was amazing. It was like a bathroom that was a mansion. But I just love how the mind will keep giving you reminders. If there's something you're not dealing with, the dream state can tell you so much about it, and it's just like, why am I having this dream again? What do I need to deal with? It's pay attention to your dreams.
And some recurring dreams can also be past lives. So I have a lot of people that come in and they've had the same dream over and over again, and the details are the same in it. That will often be the fact that their unconscious mind is showing them something that needs to be worked on and something that needs to be paid attention to. But you talking about those recurring dreams, I remember years ago, and it would quite often be if I was stressed or there was a lot of stuff going on, which is what I thought at the time. I used to have this recurring dream that I was trying to phone people, and the means by which I'm going back pre-mobile phone now, and I would pick up the telephone and I would be trying to dial and I'd be pressing buttons, and then I think it evolved and I couldn't get through. I wouldn't be able to get through. And then I think by the time mobile phones came in, but very basic ones, it was the same thing. I would be pressing the buttons to try and get the phone to go through, and I couldn't get through to the people that I needed to speak to. The phone just wouldn't work.
This happens to you now on computers and everything.
And I now don't think that that was a dream. I think that that was a bloody premonition, because so often nowadays I'm pressing phones and I'm pressing things and these things aren't working. And every time it happens, I think, do you know what? I bloody dreamt this. It was just a premonition of that thing that was going to happen. And I long for the days where you just used to have a thing that was a phone, that all it did was phone people. That's it. It wasn't a computer.
That's what you wish for, Lorraine. You're always manifesting at the moment.
I know, but you know, something that can do 300 million other things. So.
Next time you wake up at 3 a.m, you know what to do. Meditate on how easy it is to get through to people.
Just call God. Why is my phone not working?
Trust me, I speak to God about mobile phones a lot.
I love it. Call them the technology angels. Metatron, where are you, divine electron?
Recurring dreams?
No, I'm like a dream amateur. You know,
Dream nursery over here.
25 years of no dreaming, even daydreaming, fine, but no night dreaming. And I think probably the most profound dream experience since having that unlocked, I've told Al about a couple of my dreams just because it's like a novelty. It's like, hey, I had a dream.
Oh my God, did you ever get those times when people tell you their dream and then you're like,
Yeah, so that's obviously what Al was doing when I was telling her.
No, it wasn't you, but my sister does it all the time. Sorry, no. She goes on and on.
And it was about the that Soviet bloc.
Oh God, and we had the same dream.
I was telling Al about a dream, and it was kind of in this Soviet-looking block of flats, and I'd seen there was a lake outside, and I could actually see beneath the lake, and there was like this inflatable room that people had put up underneath the lake, and they were killing people. It was just it was like a factory of murders, and I knew it was down there, and I'd gone and got some people from secret services and police and various types, and we just started to drain the lake, and I woke up, and when I told Al about the dream, she'd had a dream and she was living in the flats that they were the same.
Flats.
I described what they looked like, and you were actually, your dream that same night, you were living in the flats.
Yeah.
Neither it was a past life or we've tapped into something going on. Maybe conspiracy theory, maybe another dimension, who knows, but
maybe lucky for the people involved.
And then I forgot to tell you that Tony and I watched a movie, this Wrinkle in Time movie, and the flats in that movie were really similar to anyway, but it's just too weird, like, you know, and it's, you know, things like this unfold as we're filming as well.
And I'm just remembering as well, many years ago when I was doing some training on a training course, that I had this really intense dream that a black car arrived at my front door, and the driver just said, "You must come," and it was my teacher wanted me to visit. So I got in the car, and this car took me off on this journey, and I arrived at this place that looked like a country cottage with almost a picket fence, and you could see the ocean. And when I arrived, these dogs came out, and I remember going in, and there was an Aga, and this really lovely kind of cottagey kitchen, sat down at the table, and my teacher and his wife came out, and we had this really interesting conversation. And it was interesting because this teacher was somebody that wasn't particularly sociable when we were doing the trainings, but I was working as an assistant there and had been for a really long time. So I'd never really had any one-on-one time with him. And we had this amazing night where we had dinner and we just shared lots of information, and it was very inspiring. And then, you know, when the night was over, we hugged the driver, took me home, and I kind of woke up in the morning thinking, wow, that was one of those really almost lucid dreams. It really felt very, very vivid and real. And about a week later, I was chatting to somebody who was his apprentice. And I said to him, I had this really weird dream the other day. It was actually about Richard Bandler. And he said, oh, tell me about it. So I described the whole scene, or the whole dream, and he just kind of looked at me with eyes slightly wide open, because he said, you do know that he has a house in Ireland, and you've just described. I've been there, you've just described exactly the drive down to the house, the view, and exactly what his kitchen looked like. And I said, okay, all right. So, I mean, I know he's often working at other levels as well, so I think that he didn't do the connecting with people in the daytime hours. I think we were all just summoned at night time, and that would have made a lot of sense.
Well, it's amazing, isn't it? You know, if we could learn to navigate this. In fact, there are people that do know how to navigate this. I've had a few experiences of astral travel. I've had an experience of astral travel against my will in a friend's house where I had ended up sleeping in her bed and knew, didn't I, that I had to
Yeah.
sleep in her bed. It just felt like she'd stayed in her parents' room, and Lorraine and I were staying over, and I stayed in her bed, and in the middle of the night I had a searing heat on my third eye, and I got sucked out of my body. And as soon as I was sucked out of my physical body, I was in another place. I was in like something that looked like an underground laboratory of sorts, and a guy looked military in a tight black t-shirt, like kind of looked like I don't know, potentially secret something, coming towards me on a mobile phone saying, "I've got her." And I was like astrally kidnapped. And because I know how to navigate my dream state, because I do this a lot, if something happens in my sleep against my will, I went, "Not on my watch," and pulled myself back in my body. And then there was a load of work we had to do to help our friend out of whatever was going on. But it was something that had happened in a previous lifetime that was in the family that we had to clear up, which was to do with American Secret Service. So it can happen. And then you can find yourself equally astrally traveling where it's quite fun. Like I've had times where I've been just hovering, I've been falling asleep at night and then found myself just hovering above my body and realizing that I'm not actually touching the bed and kind of moving my feet going, "Oh, where's the bed?" And having to pull myself back in as well. It's a bit like, okay. Yeah. What about you guys? Have you astrally travelled?
No. Not
Do
yet.
you know
Not
of,
yet.
so?
Not yet. In another 25 years.
When you walk into my room at night, I'll let you know.
Yeah.
I have
done it.
I have quite a few times, and but the craziest story that I've heard about that is that my sister has quite often told me stories of floating out of her body, and she wasn't sure what was going on, and she would sometimes have sleep paralysis. But she would have these dreams, which she called dreams, where she would float out of her body and she'd be floating up towards the ceiling. And it happened one night and she was really quite freaked out about it. And she was getting closer and closer and closer to the ceiling and was kind of panicking, hit the ceiling really with a bang, and then dropped back down into her body. And when she woke up in the morning, she had a huge bruise on her forehead.
Because your etheric body still gets affected, doesn't it?
That one freaked her out a little bit. Anyway, so we did some work with her in hypnosis, and thankfully that all stopped. But you can train yourself to do the astral travel. You can train yourself to actually float out of the body. And I think it's the few times it's happened, it is that same thing. It's a bit like remote viewing and stuff like that.
I don't like it.
But you float out, and then there's a part of you that goes, "Oh no, it's happening!" And you get too excited, and then your energy changes, and then you drop back down into the body again with a jolt.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I don't like the sensation. I prefer to travel while I'm grounded. Like I'd like to be in my body and traveling in consciousness. Because I don't believe we have to leave the body to travel. I do think we probably do travel
through the unconscious.
You can do it through your expanding out from the body in consciousness, and then you get to experience more and better. And also, I don't like the idea of leaving my body unmanned.
No.
I mean, I probably do astrally travel when I'm asleep and not knowing about it, but I've never had the experience of seeing the silver cord that they talk about or anything like that.
Yeah, I have, but it was more. I think that was more in meditation than in sleep.
Yeah.
So I've had that a few times, but again, it's about intention. So the other thing as well is that if you give yourself instructions to have pleasant dreams and good sleep and deep sleep to get the rest that you need, you will be safe. And we always talk about, remaining safe. So just energetically, positive thoughts before you go to sleep. Don't go to sleep worrying about things or fretting about things. If there's stuff that you need to work out or deal with, then I always suggest it's a good idea to have a little notepad by the side of the bed and write down the things that you need to take care of the next day, because then it's not whirring around in your mind. Your unconscious isn't trying to remind you of it so that you can sleep deeply and well. But give yourself positive suggestions before you go to sleep.
It's funny, isn't it? Even though I love dreams and I love dreaming and I love the visuals of it, can't stand it in movies and TV where they do those dream sequences. I couldn't stand Inception. I thought that was just I was like, no, I have enough of this already. I don't need to be watching it on TV. Or when they wake up from a dream in a movie and they're still dreaming.
Yeah, but that's just Dallas.
Seriously, it drives me crazy. I'm like, no! That's just when you run out of storyline, you just create a dream sequence.
Or when you need to bring someone back, like Bobby Ewing, who had been dead for about 5 years, and then they decided to make it that she had just been dreaming the whole thing, which is the perfect way of bringing him back.
The perfect way to bring somebody. See, that's what I mean. They've run out of storyline. It's ridiculous. Maybe I've just run out of storyline and that's why I'm dreaming. Maybe I'm just like bored with this reality and have to keep going off into other ones.
Well, bless Inception. I think the problem with Inception was that it was a brilliant idea with huge potential, and they just turned it into a kind of James Bond movie, really.
Yeah, with
they were going into the dreamscape, and there was nothing surreal or magical that happened in that space, where dreams are infinite and unlimited. So
snowmobiles and guns and chasing.
Wasn't overly impressed by that.
Well, I don't watch movies, and I only recently started dreaming, so I'm all out of storyline.
You're all out of storyline.
I'm all out of storyline.
Sally, wake up! Sally, we haven't filmed yet. It's all been a dream.
No!
I haven't pressed record. You just dreamt this whole episode.
Very good.
On that note, have we got anything else to say about dreams?
And I've got to go to sleep.
Pleasant dreams, everyone. Thank you for watching.